Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily, the first English news program in Poland. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. The Deputy Prime Minister of Poland and the head of the Agreement Party, Jarosław Gowin, presented new solutions favorable to Polish entrepreneurs at the party's congress that took place in Krakow. The solutions concern, among many others, the European policy plan addressed to large and medium-sized cities and the details of the Energy Plus program.
The Agreement Party presented new solutions favorable to Polish entrepreneurs. Jarosław Gowin's party presented, among others, European policy plan addressed to large and medium-sized cities prepared by Deputy Speaker of the Polish Senate, Adam Bielan. During the Congress in Krakow, the details of the Energy Plus program were also presented, for which the Minister of Enterprise and Technology, Jadwiga Emilewicz, is responsible. The party leader, Jarosław Gowin, appealed to the participants of the Congress.
Today in Krakow, we are calling for an agreement for Poland that will release the energy of Poles, the energy of cities, the energy of Poland, the energy of Europe. This is our goal.
The chairman of the Agreement Convention, Adam Bielan, emphasized that unity of the right wing is very important.
We have to do everything so that these good electoral victories won't be interrupted in 2019, because two very important lessons await us. And here we are talking about the elections to the European Parliament and then the elections in Poland.
The opposition claims that Jarosław Gowin's party is only a part of the right wing, which has little support and would not exist without its big ally.
Whatever the Agreement Party says, it is exactly what the Law and Justice Party speaks about, and that is to abolish the independence of the judiciary, the Constitutional Tribunal, the Supreme Court and other things.
The Agreement Coalition wishes Jarosław Gowin's party the best.
They are our partners, our coalition partners, and I wish all coalition partners the best, and I hope that the constitutional majority is a matter of timing and date of elections. I wish you good luck. Colleagues led by Jarosław Gowin present liberalism with a human face. What's more, they accept many ideas, and as I said, they can give a very valuable aspect. It is strength, like our United Poland Party, and only together we are effective.
According to the columnist Krzysztof Karnkowski, the Agreement Party is a strong element of the United Right.
The Agreement Party is a party that is useful in the United Right. It is treated with a little bit of distrust of the Law and Justice Party voters because of their roots in the Civic Platform Party. But the party sometimes sounds even more radical than the Law and Justice in the media statements.
Over 700 delegates from the entire country participated in the Agreement Party Congress.
Following the arrest by the Polish internal agency of the Huawei chief financial officer Wang Weijing for corporate espionage, the Chinese Global Times published an article urging against the Poles to damage ties with the tech giant where the suspect was employed. The espionage attempt by the Chinese spy has stirred up attentions across the globe. An article titled "Poland Bound to be a Loser If It Follows the US in Taking on Huawei" was published on January 11th in the Global Times business section, urging Poland to take a less critical stance when dealing with the tech company currently under scrutiny of corporate espionage. The Global Times published opinions provided by numerous analysts in China, majority claiming the suspect's innocence and simultaneously advocate for Poland not to take a harsh stance regarding the incidents. The spying attempt by China via Huawei has gained media traction on a global scale. The CNBC compiled a list of Huawei's multiple high-profile criminal incidents, while the Irish Times made the speculation that electronic devices made and sold by the company could very likely double as spying tools for Beijing. The Guardian pointed out China's defense of the incidents has no specifications of the allegation, in which the Chinese wish to clarify. Relations between Huawei and Chinese spying attempts were being questioned from international medias such as the Australian publication The Herald, all the way to local publications such as the Kansas City Star. The US has long suspected Huawei to be a risk and potential threat to national security, with the US President Donald Trump banning the use of devices by said company for national security purposes, while multiple Western countries, including Australia, New Zealand, have already blocked the company in question from participating in its 5G networks, with Norway and Sweden considering joining its ranks. The piece published by Global Times focuses heavily on the ongoing economic tension between China and the USA and concluded that if investigation and scrutiny against the tech company would be a stance taken by Poland, it would be viewed as a stance in line with support for the USA. The Chinese analyst cited that article, along with the editor-in-chief of the Global Times, publicly stated that it is unwise for Poland to push pressure on Huawei. The editor-in-chief later on published an inflammatory tweet against Poland in defense of the tech giant. Huawei announced in a statement declaring knowledge of the situation but refuses to make further comments. A pregnant Polish woman was stabbed multiple times by an asylum seeker from Afghanistan in the German state of Rhineland-Palatinate. The 25-year-old Afghani man committed the attempted murder in a hospital visit with the motive yet unknown. The victim suffered life-threatening injuries and was stabilized after an emergency surgery, but the unborn baby died from the incident. The Afghani assailant was soon arrested and charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and unlawful termination of pregnancy. The top world-class woman tennis player, Agnieszka Radwanska, received a Commander's Cross of the Polonia Restituta Order from the President of Poland today in the ceremony a year after wrapping up her professional career.
The Polish president Andrzej Duda praised the tennis player in a ceremony announcing that she made history not only in Poland but international tennis. "We were watching you, we were happy and cheerful, but most of all, we were proud of your beautifully developed career," President Duda said. Agnieszka Radwańska, the former world #2 player ranked by the Women's Tennis Association, won 20 WTA singles titles in the span of her career and a professional tennis player. In 2012, she made her way into the final of the Wimbledon Grand Slam tournament. On Wednesday, the former athlete was given the title of a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador.
That's it for today. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka and welcome to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see the forecast for tonight. Snowy night as large parts of the country, a maximum of 5 degrees in Szczecin and a minimum -6 degrees in Białystok. Now over to tomorrow. It will be a mixed bag with rain across the country, but sunlight will appear as well. The temperature will range from 1 degree in Lublin to 7 in Zielona Góra. Snow will appear all over Poland. Let's see the forecast for the following 3 days. Another snowy day with alternating sunshine and rain, temperatures hovering around 2 degrees. Next day, temperatures will drop on Tuesday to -2 degrees in the northeast. More rain is expected on Thursday, but with slightly cooler temperatures from 2 to 5 degrees in the southwest. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Poland Daily Business Edition, and on our show tonight is Dr. Adam Czyżewski, Chief Economist of PKN Orlen, our biggest fuel company in Poland and one of the biggest in this part of Europe. Sir, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Well, let us start from this interview from the strategic plans of Orlen, because you are not only Polish company, but also you have your station, you have your refineries, you have your people all around the region in Lithuania, Germany, Slovakia, Czech Republic, you name it, we are there.
We don't have plants in Slovakia, but instead we have upstream in Canada. Yeah, plus, you know, those countries you mentioned. So we are international company with, you know, Polish roots, and our strategy of development is to provide. We called it. Our target is to fuel the future, which means that regardless of the fuel of future will be, we are in a good position to provide this fuel. So this is one way of how we see the future and how we would like to develop. But the other, which is worth to mention, is that in the business in general, there is a change of attitude towards business target. It used to be, and still many businessmen, would underline that what is most important is shareholder value, shareholders' value. But we are in the position that we think about the business in terms of shared value. What I mean by that we have to care about the environment in which we function, because we depend on our customers. So our customers depend on the supply from us, but we depend on their incomes, on their willingness to buy our products, and therefore, in many areas we try to support, but support in the market way. So to provide a market for incumbent domestic or local producers to let them develop, because if they grow, they would buy trucks, they would need more transport, and they will become our customers. And doing that, we also build a value chain in the country. Yes, we are not dependent on import. That's a bit different from the strategies which were performed, let's say, 5-6 years ago, where we look only short term on the best price. When you look at the best price, you probably never let your incumbent businesses develop. You have to look more long term, and look at the market as something you may help to create, and then the market will reward you with proper demand.
Right. That was last year's change when you decided to put the natural pressed juices to your store. There's hundreds of those all over Poland and beyond. And suddenly you opened up the new market for the local Polish producer, local Polish apple growers and people like that. And they are now in very good position selling to primarily to your company, and their brand is growing. And that was something like you decided to build up new segment of the market, health conscious, natural products, minimum preservatives, and so on. And can you tell a few words about this logic that's behind it?
No, the logic is that we as I said, we have to care as a big company, one of the biggest in the region and active in the region. We have to care about the environment in which we operate, and that's the strategy of building relation between us and our suppliers. But this is not based only on the way that we would like to subordinate these suppliers, and to make them dependent on us, but by opening up for their products, we let them grow, and when they grow, they become independent, and they will sell us their product, but they will also sell products abroad or in other places. And what is important, that we are talking about apple juice, that we mobilize our in agriculture. There's a very, very strong and knowledge-based part of the agriculture, because we developed. There is no other place in the world when there is so many brands of apples, and we don't make a business out of it. It's the same with potatoes. People all over the world, they treat potatoes, different brands differently. We, for a long time, we put them to the one, box, and, potato was a potato. Now, we can really make a business out of it. And so supporting this part of agriculture, which is technologically advanced, which is has higher profits, is good for us because we have natural products and the Polish products, and is good also for the agriculture. And that way we have stronger customers who buy our fuels, who buy our product, who cooperate with us. We produce fertilizers. So, that creates a market for fertilizers. So take care about the environment, and the environment will take care about you. And this is the new approach. This is not our invention, but we simply apply it. It's called shared value instead of shareholder value.
Right. Your stations are turning to be convenience stores with good products in good prices, but also you have the sort of few words to say about the new market of electric vehicles with putting the chargers or superchargers on the stations. That's actually started.
Yeah, that started, and electricity, electricity as a fuel for cars, it's a tendency, and it's a global tendency. Of course, it will not happen in any place all over the world in the same intensity. More developed countries will have probably, sooner electric transportation. Urban areas will have sooner than rural, and a lot depends on the state. Let's say intervention or support, because if you look at the Norway, so rich Norwegian state, was able.
Their wealth comes from the oil.
From the oil, and they and they use proceeds of oil to develop. And actually in Norway it's more than 30% electric cars, so it's a mass transportation already. In Poland we are at the beginning, and it's always the problem of chicken and egg. People don't buy car because there are no chargers. Business says, why we should invest in chargers where there is no car, electric cars. So we decided to invest in chargers, and this is at the beginning. At the beginning it was like a pilot project, but now we see a business opportunity for it, even with the small amount of chargers, because 150 chargers, it's
Poland.
Yes, in Poland it's not a.
That is like a good beginning for
because
longer and wider strategy.
Yes, but we also have a car sharing business with a traffic car company, and this traffic car company, maybe they will in the future. Maybe other, but just to use a car sharing fleet of electric cars, and as we now fuel these traffic cars with our gasoline, we may fuel these cars with using our chargers on the stations, because ordinary people, when they buy electric cars, they are more likely to charge it at home if they have such a possibility, because if you are lucky to live, outside the city or have a house, you can plug it in. But if you park at the street, then there is
that's maybe a very, very good solution, especially that you can provide a better quality or stronger current than one have at home. Dr. Adam Czyżewski, sir, thank you very much for visiting our show. And
thank you.
That was it for this part of Poland Daily Business. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.
I'm Aleksandra Zarzycka, and welcome back to Poland Daily Weather. Let's see the forecast for tomorrow. It will be a mixed bag with rain across the country, but sunlight will appear as well. The temperature will range from 1 degree in Lublin to 7 degrees in Zielona Góra. Snow will appear all over Poland. Let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast for the continent. Temperatures will drop in Central Europe. We expect 4 degrees in Prague and 3 in Bratislava. Warmer weather down south with 14 degrees in Rome. Clear skies over the Iberian Peninsula and pleasant 14 degrees in Lisbon, while Madrid will see 12 degrees. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Welcome to Poland Daily Culture. On today's episode, we're here from the Polish National Library at Kruszyński Palace.
The National Library of Poland is the central Polish library, subject directly to the Ministry of Culture and National Heritage of Poland. The library collects books, journals, electronic and audiovisual publications published in Poland, as well as Polonica published abroad. It is the most important humanities research library, the main archive of Polish writing, and the state's center of bibliographic information about books. It also plays a significant role as a research facility. It is an important methodological center for other Polish libraries. The National Library receives a copy of every book published in Poland as legal deposit. The first attack of the war fell on the Kruszyński Library in September 1939 during the Siege of Warsaw. The bombs which fell on the palace on the 24th and 25th of September destroyed the central ceremonial part of the building. The museum expositions and the library hall suffered from the attack, but the collection put away in storage remained intact. However, in 1939, the SS Commando Polsen stole priceless objects from the museum storages, and in February 1940, Joseph Mulsman's commission requisitioned some museum items. A few months later, musical rarities were commandeered for the NSDAP Higher School, which was being founded in the Reich. The first month of the uprising, which started on the 1st of August, 1944, brought about almost no distraction. It was on the 5th of September that the first bombs fell onto the Kruszyński Palace building, which had been turned into the headquarters of the Department of Interior Affairs in spite of the librarians' protests. The stores were bombarded, and the fire which started up devoured a part of the collection. On the 4th floor, 16th and 17th century prints burned. On the 3rd floor, the Czwarteńscy library collection from Milanów perished, together with the remains of old prints and musical scores which had not been transported into the basements. The 2nd floor saw the destruction of manuscripts from the 19th and 20th centuries. A part of the collection was saved when books were tossed out of the windows onto the country yard. Those who were trying to save the collection fought for a full 24 hours before leaving the charred rubble.
We're here today at Kruszyński Palace, and today we are in the Royal Palace Collection from Wilanów, and I'm joined by Director of Polish National Library, Dr. Tomasz Makowski. Dr. Makowski, welcome to Poland Daily Culture.
Bardzo mi miło Państwa powitać w Pałacu Rzeczypospolitej.
Thank you very much. So today I'd like to talk about the role of the National Library during the Second World War. Could you tell us what it was like at that time and what was happening and some of the losses incurred?
Przed II wojną światową Polska Biblioteka Narodowa miała ogromne kolekcje najcenniejszych zabytków piśmiennictwa polskiego, ale także zabytków kultury europejskiej.
Before the Second World War, the National Library of Poland had huge collections of the most valuable heritage of Polish literature, but also from European culture. We had 52,000 manuscripts before 1939. Unfortunately, only 2,000 survived. 50,000 medieval, early modern 19th and 20th century manuscripts were burned or destroyed. We kept an urn with ashes dedicated to the memory of this loss. Manuscripts were part of this loss. The collection of the old printings were burned down as well. We lost 80,000 incunables and printings from the 16th and 18th centuries. Big collection of maps, drawings, and graphics. These are the biggest losses in the history of the world because these amazing collections were consciously set on fire. Only a part of them was destroyed by the explosions during the Second World War because a great majority of the collection of the Polish National Library was intentionally set on fire.
Większość z tej części najcenniejszej Biblioteki Narodowej została naumyślnie podpalona. Opowieść niezwykłą, którą nasi poprzednicy przekazali, to ci, którzy zamykali magazyn, wychodząc z Warszawy po powstaniu warszawskim.
People who worked here before told us an amazing story about people who were closing warehouses right before leaving Warsaw after the January uprising. Were the ones who were opening them on January 1945. They saw the shelves, the same books that they saw when they closed the warehouses. Sometime later, they saw incinerated books falling from the metal shelves. Books don't just burn, they incinerate. We lost back then a huge part of the Polish memory and the world's culture. English, Italian, and French manuscripts and printings burned as well. People didn't speak much about the loss during the period of the Polish People's Republic. Today, we have to remember that no one will ever read these manuscripts. They are a complete and irreplaceable loss. The National Library is only a part of the loss. 70% of the Polish libraries were destroyed during the Second World War by Germans or by Russians. The library's heritage was intentionally set on fire, burned down due to explosions, but theft also accounts for some of the losses. We're finding fragments of what we had here in the library in different places, in different countries. But those are only small pieces and leftovers from thousands of the amazing treasures that we had in the Polish National Library.
Ale to nadal są pojedyncze obiekty z dziesiątków tysięcy tych wspaniałych.
The Treasury House and other precious things that before the Second World War were evacuated from Poland to Canada survived and were kept there. But this is only a small amount of Frederick Chopin's manuscripts, or a yearbook with the date of the baptism of the first Christian ruler of the Poles, called Rocznik Świętokrzyski.
Rocznik Świętokrzyski, dawny z zapisem o chrzcie pierwszego polskiego chrześcijańskiego władcy.
Thank you very much for joining us here at Poland Daily Culture, Dr. Tomasz Makowski, Director of the Polish National Library.
Dziękuję bardzo.
Thank you very much for joining us at Poland Daily Culture. Join us again tomorrow when we take another journey through Polish culture.
Some of the little-known yet intriguing facts about Poland involves its multicultural historical background. Joining us here today is Mr. Maciej Bohociewicz, a founder of the Armenian Foundation, here to explore what it's like to be one of the cultures integrated into the Polish society. Ladies and gentlemen, joining us here today is Maciej Bohociewicz, representative of the Armenian Foundation, and here to talk to us about the history of the Armenian population in Poland. So tell me, how and where did the Armenian establish its presence in the Poland or the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth?
Ormianie w Polsce pojawili się w okolicach XII wieku. Oczywiście były grupki diaspory ormiańskiej, które były wcześniej, ale także były grupki, które zdecydowanie wyemigrowały.
The Armenians came to Poland in the end of the 12th century. Of course, there were small groups of the Armenian diaspora already living in Poland prior to that time, but the largest groups emigrated from the historical country of Armenia around the 12th century.
I wtedy wiemy, że nasi przodkowie jakby dostali asumpt do wymarszu.
The year 1064 is also very important for the Armenian history, since it was the year when the capital of Armenia, Ani, was taken by the Turks. This event forced our ancestors to migrate from their territory. It was the Seljuk aggression, the times were uneasy, so the Armenians needed to save their lives.
Jakby, że tak powiem, logistycznie może i najbliżej. Ciekawe położenie miejsca. W jakiś czas zadomowili się na tym Krymie.
We know that the first wave of emigration set out towards Crimea. Why there? When you look at the world map, Crimea is simply the closest up north.
Niestabilność tego regionu spowodowała kolejne fale emigracji idące w kierunku Kamieńca Podolskiego.
For a short period, Armenians stayed there, which we know since they began using the Kipchak language, characteristic for this region. After some time, due to unrest in Crimea, the Armenians emigrated once more, this time to Kamieniec-Podolski, a beautiful city in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, and also to the Red Ruthenia, especially to the city of Lviv.
Który przetrwał do tej pory, będący katedrą ormiańską i siedziba biskupstwa ormiańskiego.
Lviv is one of the most important places in the history of the Polish Armenians, since it became a home for the biggest Armenian diaspora. The Armenian cathedral and the headquarters of the Armenian diocese were located there. The growing number of Armenians who came here around the 12th century would then settle, establish their manufactures and businesses, but they would also often serve the king of the country they came to.
W historii ormiańskiej jest rzeczą normalną, że kiedy rodzina emigruje i znajduje odpowiednie miejsca do osiedlenia się,
For the Armenians, it was natural that when they found a safe place to settle, where their own traditions could be cultivated freely, they sent a messenger to their people back in what was used to be Armenia to tell them about such a place and convince them to join their relatives.
Przyjeżdżajcie, dlatego że królowie polscy kochają Ormian i zapraszają Ormian, stwarzając im bardzo dogodne warunki.
Such emissaries came to the lands occupied by the Seljuks and told other Armenians, "Come to Poland because the Polish kings love Armenians. They offer us very favorable conditions to settle, to develop, to live and to cultivate our own culture and traditions."
Społeczności była ustabilizowana, wpływy grupy były bardzo silne. Obsadzenie kluczowych stanowisk w administracji samorządowej i administracji państwowej na tamtych terytoriach było.
The more Armenians came to Poland, the more stable their economic and social situation were. With time, some of them became members of local authorities and officials.
Grupa bogaciła się, a jak grupa się bogaciła, to też inwestowała w różnego rodzaju przedsięwzięcia.
Their very good connections with the East enabled them to engage in profitable trade. Then they would invest their funds not only in more business, but in cultural enterprises as well. The Armenians would often support the building of churches, help free slaves taken by the Tatars, or simply give money to charities. That sums up the road the Armenians took to appear in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.
Rzeczypospolitej.
Where did the Armenians reside while they are in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth? How are they like? What are their occupations, characteristics? How would you describe the population as a whole?
Ormianie znajdowali się na terytoriach zamieszkiwali kresów południowo-wschodnich Rzeczypospolitej.
The Armenians settled in the eastern borderlands of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Podole and the Moldavian Bukovina. These three regions were chosen by Armenians the most. The key event for their diaspora was the establishment of their church.
Właśnie na tym terytorium. I tutaj mam na myśli rok 1367, kiedy król Kazimierz Wielki
In the year 1367, Polish king Casimir the Great signed a very important document for the Armenians, which allowed them to establish their own diocese in Poland with their own bishop. Why was this so significant? Because wherever they settled, the Armenians began with setting up something similar to the structure of a separate country.
Musi być wybrany starszy swojej tej gminy ormiańskiej. Musi być także miejsce, gdzie Ormianie będą mogli wybudować kościół.
At first, they needed to choose an elder of a local community, then build a church, and last but not least, set up a school, so the Armenian children wouldn't lose their national identity, their Armenian traditions and language. The document I mentioned earlier allowed the diaspora to do just that, to have their own diocese and bishop, to profess their own faith freely, in their own language and traditions, and to permanently bond with the given territory.
Dokument był o tyle ważny, bo mówił, że jeżeli biskup nie będzie rezydował w tym miejscu, właśnie w Lwowie, a chciałby gdzie indziej, mamy tutaj na myśli duże miasto Łuck.
It's worth mentioning that the document allowed all this only if the Armenian bishop stayed in Lviv. If he decided to move somewhere else, for example to the big city of Łódź, the Armenians would lose their privilege of having their own diocese. As a result, many Armenians would settle only in Lviv, bringing their own manufacturers and businesses with them. Even though the city of Lviv was the center of the Armenian diaspora, there were also smaller towns and villages where they settled. For example, Wysiec, Kamieniec-Podolski, which I mentioned before, Jazłowiec or the town of Buchacz.
Takich miejscowości jest bardzo dużo. Co jest charakterystyczne, że w tych miejscowościach Ormianie w pierwszej kolejności budowali kościół.
There are lots of places where the Armenians stayed. The first thing the Armenians would do after settling in such places was building a church, where they prayed and held public meetings in the Armenian language.
Na końcu nazwijmy to tej ziemi podolskiej, to jest miejscowość Kuty, na dawnym pograniczu polsko-mołdawskim, polsko-rumuńskim, gdzie Ormianie także osiedli.
A very important area for the Polish Armenians was also the town of Kuty, at the border of Podole, where their culture and language blossomed for a long time.
Ormiańskim. Malusieńkie miasteczko, enklawa ormiańskości założona przez kupców ormiańskich.
It was a small village, but a lot of merchants from Moldavia and other eastern and southern countries came through it on their way to Stanisławowo and Lviv.
Rezydowały, zatrzymywały się w tych kutach, dokonując transakcji różnych handlowych, aby potem podążać dalej w kierunku Stanisławowa, w kierunku Lwowa.
Integration is not always easy. It takes time, it takes familiarity, it takes a whole culture of people willing to band together. But the Armenian Polish people decided that they want to be part of the society and therefore became part of the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. That's it for today. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee. I'll see you next time on Poland Daily History.
Welcome to Poland Daily Travel again. Today we will be going underground. That's right, we'll be riding in style on the Warsaw metro system. There are two metro lines in the city of Warsaw, serving the center of the city all the way to the suburbs, from Kabaty to Młociny. The north-south line, the M1, links central Warsaw with its densely populated northern and southern areas. The first east-west segment of the M2 line opened on March 8, 2015. The M2 line will continue to be extended, and a third line, the M3, is planned. The first section of the M1 was opened in 1995, and it reached its full length in October of 2008. The M2 section is 6 kilometers or about 4 miles long. This east-west section contains a tunnel deep beneath the Vistula River. There are 7 stations connecting the heart of the city from Praga all the way to the west. There are 7 sections on the east-west M2. Passengers seem to like it. You can get around town in comfort. Whether for business or pleasure, the system is rated very highly by its many passengers. That being said, let's have a look with Poland Daily Travel as we go underground on the metro in Warsaw.
Okay, you can see behind me is the National Stadium. We're here in Praga at the National Stadium metro stop. Behind us is in front of me actually, is the old part of Warsaw, the opposite side of the river, the east side of town, called Praga. This is an area which stayed the same for a very long time. It was not destroyed in the war, like much of the center of the city was. But here is the stadium metro stop. So every time there's a big event, this place is thronging with people right here in Praga. This whole area has been developed. It was not developed for many, many years until recently. And this not tram stop, but this metro stop This particular stop has brought new life to this part of the city on the east side of the river, called Praga. And we're going to look at it in just a second, but look behind me here. We have this futuristic sort of, at night when these are glowing, it looks like maybe a UFO has landed or something, or several of them in a row. And behind us we have the stadium where you get big concerts, you get big sporting events, and lots of good stuff happens. And you get thousands and thousands of people coming here at the same time. Stay with us.
Hi everybody, we're back. Poland Daily Travel with more exciting banter, travel talk, you name it, from the heart of beautiful downtown Warsaw at Coco and Roy restaurant. You'll see behind us the beautiful picture windows, a window on the world, or at least to this street. And as we continue, we will be talking more about the scintillating travel prospects of this capital city, this here town that we're in, and the metro system. And to get to this, to talk about this subject in depth, you will recognize Nicholas Richardson. Smile for the folks, would you? Thank you very much, Nicholas. Thank you. Beautiful. Man looks good. Love the waistcoat. It's fantastic. And Nicholas will be giving us information about the London Underground. Phil will contribute, as always, his vast knowledge of different types of travel itineraries, and of course, not only is he a famous bus spotter, tram spotter, train spotter, but also the world's only metro spotter. I mean, this guy is a spelunker maximum. Nobody can spelunk like old Phil. And I happen to know that I have a few affidavits from his friends.
Thank you, I guess.
You are most welcome, oh, wise one. And here, from New York, not only the owner of Coco and Roy, which should be enough for most people, but not for Jonathan. He is also an expert on the subway. This fella knows everything about sandwiches. Wait a second. I mean underground transport in the metropolis of New York. I'm going to throw it over to you. How do you, Jonathan, how do you compare the transport in New York, which is famous for its pretty crazy subway system? They call it a subway, they call it a metro here, as in France, I think. How do you compare it to the, I call it the Big Apple?
Well, it's considerably much more of an extensive system, right? But older, crazier.
But is it wiser?
No.
Not particularly.
Not
it's a
wiser.
big, dumb, old system.
It is.
It's learned nothing over the years.
And as we're hearing more and more about these days, it's completely in need of many an upgrade using technology that's still left over from the 1920s, even earlier. And yeah, so it was terrible in the 70s. It got better for a while in the 90s and 2000s, and then the ridership has increased so much, and the budgets are crazy, and whoever's in charge isn't in charge, and blah blah blah. So you've got your issues. Also, though, you gotta figure every day in New York City. Almost 3 times the population of Warsaw rides the subway every day.
Wow.
6 million people or more ride just the subways, I believe. That might include buses too, but I don't think so.
I'd like about,
you figure,
like 1/10 of 1%.
So everybody that lives in Warsaw times about 2.5, really, I guess, is on that train every day. And it's 24 hours. I don't know how many hundreds of miles of track there is and lines and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, you can't really shut down at midnight and clean all your trains and do your track repair. So it becomes a little hectic and crazy, and there's delays and, you know. All that business. But it is certainly a busy system. So,
what about the rats?
The rats everywhere.
I've heard there were a lot of
legendary. In fact, they are.
They're scrambling around on the tracks.
Yeah. That's very
rarely on the platform, except for the famous pizza rat, of course. But,
what, the pizza rat?
Yeah, it was some online meme for a
What
while.
was the pizza rat?
The rat going down some stairs with the pizza, slice of pizza in his mouth.
A whole slice?
Whole slice, dragging.
How interesting. I didn't even know that rats like pizza. Must have been an Italian rat.
Or perhaps, who knows? Who knows? Crusty anyway.
There's another pun in there, but we won't.
A crusty old rat.
Now,
I was waiting
Jonathan,
for Phil to chime in.
We were talking about prices of Warsaw public transport.
Yeah.
Now, I was last in New York using the subway in 1994 when it cost $1.25 per ride. You buy $5 worth of tokens, you get 4 tokens for $5. Right. And you had 4 rides out of that. Well, how much does it cost now?
And I arrived there, it was $1.15, and then it went up to $1.25. I think it's I haven't been there most recently, but I think it's around $2.50 a ride, and then you have, and you know what happened? They phased out the tokens around 95, 96, so you have Metro cards, so you can get your weekly, you can get a monthly, you can get a daily. But it is expensive, yeah. I mean, it's gone up considerably. But the nice thing, or something that made the New York City system very famous, even from the beginning, was that there were no, it was a flat fare, no matter how far you're going to go. So if you lived way the hell up, and it didn't cost the same thing for everybody. So it was very inclusive. And that's still the same situation. Whereas I believe here, I mean, you go out of zone 1, then it costs a little extra, et cetera.
In Warsaw, it depends. You can buy an entire ticket for an entire day, or if you buy a lower end ticket for 20 minutes, you've got 20 minutes, you're done.
Yeah, or 75 and kind of
it costs $1 for about a US dollar for 340 zlotys, which is about $1, a little less, for a 20-minute ride. Yeah. Which is pretty cheap. Yeah. So you're paying $1, which is, and you said in New York,
$2.50, and it's just one ride. It's not a time.
It's one ride, and you can't change.
You can transfer to a bus from the subway, or vice versa, I believe, and that's it kind of on your Metro.
And could you ride that right across the city?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the longest one? The A train, I guess, from 207th up in Harlem, goes all the way out to Far Rockaway, and you're past JFK, all that. So that's, I don't know how many miles that is.
That's a long way from Harlem to.
And the subway goes all the way out that way.
To
of course, it's a surface train, right?
It's both. I mean, AA's underground in Manhattan, and then it's goes through Brooklyn and Queens, and then comes out towards JFK a little bit above ground. Yeah, but many of them are both. They go under above. Yes.
Now, I don't believe. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe the Warsaw Metro is a surface train anywhere except at the southern end when it gets out of the Kabaddi station and goes into its own base.
So a passenger wouldn't see that necessarily, though, right?
Okay. I think you're right. It doesn't emerge from the ground at all with passengers on it.
The metro here?
Yeah, it doesn't.
I think there's no emergence. Yeah. Have you taken the train from the central station to the airport?
Yeah, but that's a commuter rail. I mean, that's that's out. That's above ground. All the time.
Of course, well, the reason I bring that up is that each city that I'm familiar with in the U.S., now I don't know about London, Nicholas, perhaps you can tell us about London in a moment, but in Chicago we have the L train, which is elevated above the streets or at surface level or sometimes below ground.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you can take it from O'Hare to get to, you're going to be underground for a while, and then you're up,
then it comes out. In New York, that happens.
L is like the Loop L that's famous for being
in Chicago.
And of course the Washington Metro, as it's called in Washington, is sometimes underground, sometimes above ground, sometimes sometimes on surface, and sometimes above ground, as it is in Alexandria at King Street.
Yeah, once you're out of the city,
if you're going in Washington, just under this, that's right, under the main part of the city, it's underground. As soon as you go over the Potomac, to the northern side, for instance, to the airport or whatever, it goes above ground again at a certain point.
Well, and a lot of these cities were able to use their existing
rapid rail
highway routes, and they could just, like in Chicago, so much of the median strip is used for